now tuned in to DAR Sports Media. It's a special for you guys. We're going to drop 2 of these offseason reviews, give you something to listen to while you're loading up those grills out there, while you're getting the pool set up for the kids, while you're making all the proper safety precautions with the fireworks that you bought from our man Josh from the Brahma Bullpen over there on United Football Media, because he is a fireworks dealer. All of these things you're getting ready to do on your wonderful, beautiful 4th of July weekend. God bless the USA. Well, we're going to hook you up with some stuff to put on and listen to while you're taking care of all those chores to take care of your families and your friends for this holiday. It is going to be the AFC East, and then our final division in our next episode, double drop this week, the NFC West. But 2 divisions that I'm going to be connected to here pretty soon. Some surprises on the way. You will see. Anyways, the AFC East. Now, usually we go in order of like which teams we think had the best. It's not necessarily going to be the case on this one. But we are going to talk about the one that has gotten the most active, that has gotten the most interesting lately. And that is the Miami Dolphins. Just this week have been, when we were about to record this at an earlier time, I had all these plans about how, this is kind of incomplete because how is the Jonnu Smith situation going to play out? How is the Jalen Ramsey situation going to play out? It's kind of why we had saved this one for last. But those situations have since played out. Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith headed to the Steelers in exchange for Minkah Fitzpatrick, which a lot of people were very surprised to see, and a late round pick. I believe it is a 6th. And also, additionally, the Dolphins then attempted to patch the hole that they have at tight end by trading for the since unretired Darren Waller from the Giants for a conditional pick. Tay is already making faces. There's a lot going on with all of this. A lot of boom or bust, a lot of, look genius if it works out, looking sideways maybe if it doesn't. Let's start with the big trade with Ramsey and Smith headed out. Because I got other thoughts on this offseason, by the way, for the Dolphins. I loved their draft, and I love some of their pickups in free agency, but obviously this was the biggest thing happening here with this team. Ramsey, so on the surface of it, if you look at it just player for player, you would say, probably most people would say that the Steelers got the good end of this deal. However, I've recently become somewhat connected in the Miami world as far as sports go. It's only as far as sports go. And you got to understand the politics of the situation in the roster and what they had going on down there in Miami is Ramsey was ready to leave. Jonnu Smith wants a big new contract because he outperformed his contract. They weren't going to keep Ramsey. They probably were not going to re-sign Jonnu Smith. And it's a very similar situation to the Trey Hendrickson situation up in the Bengals. While I understand and empathize with someone outperforming their contract so that they think that they deserve and did earn a raise, at the same time, you don't generally give big money new deals to guys almost 30 or about to be on the other side of 30. Tay knows this well. He said neither one of those guys would even be on his team in the first place to be even talking about this, let alone giving them big money new deals. So that was the situation there. I'm more inclined on that one to kind of agree because being how similar the Dolphins system is to the 49ers system, it's a very tight end friendly system. This was a little bit of an outlier in production from Jonnu Smith through his career. Like, he's been good, not great the whole time. So he had a big year, but I think if they can get a decent guy who fits the system, he's going to have a decent year too. So I understand not overpaying for Jonnu Smith. And then Ramsey, they're in a situation where, so a lockdown corner, a big time corner like that, doesn't really. This secondary is going to be bottom 5. There's a good chance it's going to be the worst secondary in the NFL. When you're in a situation like that, paying one guy who can only take away one guy from the offense doesn't really make a ton of sense. It's, again, somewhat similar to the Trey Hendrickson situation where we had the league leader in sacks and we still had the league's worst defense. So why are we going to pay this dude a ton of money? Kind of the same thing here. It's kind of pointless to pay one guy over $20 million when you're going to be giving up 300 yards passing a game anyway. So a lockdown corner is the type of that degree of one where he's high paid, he's established. That's the kind of guy that you bring into to complete a defense, not build from the ground up. You draft a guy like Stingley in Houston and you build up around him. But it's the opposite situation down in the Dolphins, whereas Ramsey's pretty much the only guy they had. They're going to give up 300 yards passing a game anyways, unless they follow some of the steps that I'll be given in the season preview. So I get not really, and then getting Fitzpatrick back in the situation that Miami is in, Fitzpatrick fits the situation a little bit better because he's going to be able to be the cleanup man. He's going to be making plays over the middle. He's going to be making up for poor tackling. He's going to be a Swiss Army knife and getting things done. And costing less money while he's doing it. Great playmaker. Love me some Mika Fitzpatrick. So, it hurts to lose two good players, but I get it. Do you want to give your thoughts on the trade first, and then we'll move on to this Darren Waller situation?
The trade was interesting. I thought it was kind of odd for both teams. I'm just still trying to figure out why both teams did it. Like the Steelers, I mean, do you really need 3-4 tight ends, 5 on your roster? Thought that was kind of weird. They got Freiermuth and Darnell Washington. It just was kind of off there. I mean, I guess that's the type of football they want to play. And then Ramsey for Minka. Ramsey's the better player, like in this scenario. But I feel like they're good at corner. Like they had Darius Slay and then they have Joey Porter Jr. I feel like they're already good at corner. It was just, I guess, to overwhelm the corners, I guess. But
I mean, that's the type of situation that I'm talking about, that you bring him into. You complete that corner. You got 3 dope corners.
Yeah.
So many teams like to spread it out. But
then, like, you lose a safety, though. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just not the same. Like, I just felt like it was a marginal move. I don't think neither team really benefited from this. Necessarily. I mean, the Dolphins, they let Javon Holland walk. I mean, they could have just, you know what I mean? They could have just signed him. So it was just marginal for both teams. Like, maybe if there was a receiver in the deal, I guess because they're both defensive players or something like that. And then the Steelers already have tight ends. I don't know. Nothing to me popped out in this trade. It was, I don't know. It was like trading DK Metcalf for George Pickens. Like that's what the trade was. I mean,
So the thing is if you guys check out, according to there was talk on a lot of the biggest media groups around the Dolphins, DolphinsTalk.com, by the way, the number one Miami Dolphins media group, was talking about just recently, are we going to get anything from Ramsey? Are we just going to end up cutting him? Because it's an older player, it's a huge contract, it's a corner. Like, is this going to be a situation where we just end up cutting him in August? That's where they were at. That's where that media scene was at. That's where that fan base was at. So to end up with Minka Fitzpatrick, a pretty good player, I don't think this ended up going to, I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not sure either team really made progress in this deal, but it ended up being a pretty decent scenario the way it worked out, according to Dolphins land. That's what I do know. Darren Waller coming out of retirement. I saw some of the worst takes that I've seen in sports media about, like, I understand, man. I get it. Like, everybody wants to have fun and make fun of his rap music, but like, it was like they were basing whether this was a good move on how I specifically saw somebody in media being like, look how much, remember, oh, they traded for Darren Waller. You're happy about that? Don't you remember how much this rap song about Kelsey Plum sucked? Like, what the fuck does that got to do with this is a football move? I don't really understand that. My issue with it as a football move was he was never really a blocker. And in this offense, the tight end blocks is like a key blocker. So that's concerning. Obviously, the health is concerning. The dude, I don't think he played a full season the entire time he was in his prime. Maybe a year off is going to help with that coming off. But production-wise, if this dude is even 70% of the player he was when he left the NFL, in this system, he is going to go nuts. Production-wise, he's going to be a player you have to account for over the middle. That trio with Jalen Waddle, with Tyreek Hill, with him over the middle, that's one of the fastest. Again, if he's back, that's one of the fastest speed groups. And then you add in Devin Achane and Jalen Wright behind him in the backfield. You're talking about one of the fastest skill groups in the entire NFL, if not the fastest total skill group in the NFL. If things work out, if health works out, if things go right, this could be, it's good. There's going to be stretches where this is extremely, extremely dangerous. Now we've seen that, this has kind of been the Dolphins calling card the entire McDaniels era, where at times this looks like, the most unstoppable thing you've ever seen in your entire life. And then at other times, and the worst possible times, they disappear on you. They no-show on you. They ghost you, and you're looking up at the lights. So thoughts on this Darren Waller thing, him coming out of retirement, Tay?
I was shocked. I thought it was pretty funny that he was retired and came out of retirement. Kind of reminds me of Gronk. When they were going to trade him to the Colts or something like that, and he said he'll retire. So, I mean, I don't know if
that's what happened, right? That's going back to that. They said they was going to retire him because it was fuck you. Put him separate from his wife. He ends up destroying his marriage, getting divorced. I said, and then retired. I said, bro, why don't you just retire when they said they were going to trade you? Like, you could have avoided all the rest of this. But whatever. Football player, not a brain surgeon. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, so I just don't know if Darren Waller has it. Like, it's been a couple years.
Yeah,
it's been a couple years. He was in New York for a few years. I don't remember anything from that. And then he retired and he didn't play last year. So I mean, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like, think of the impact Odell gives you. That's been giving you the past couple years, like on the Ravens and and in Miami last year. I think Darren Waller would be closer to that than his previous self. He'll score a couple touchdowns though. He'll score maybe like 3 or 4. He'll be in there. I mean, I don't know. Like I get why they traded for him though. He fits what they want to do. Like his play style.
To an extent, like we said.
Yeah. I just don't know if he still has it. It's been a long time. It would be crazy if he does, but yeah.
They had to. The tight ends they had on the roster had a combined 83 career catches. The whole roster, the whole tight end room after they traded Smith. There was a rumor going around that they were trying to work behind the scenes to get Michael Mayer off the Raiders, off of purgatory on the Raiders, and that would have been, incredible, but didn't work. Which makes sense, honestly, when you think like the Raiders are going to run two tight end, like a lot. Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll, yes, sir. You'd be lucky to get one receiver on the field. Just tight ends and fullbacks and just run the piss out of the ball out there. Lee Harvey, our man. What are we thinking, man? The Dolphins trade, and then Darren Waller coming back, Terry Funk.
Yeah, Steelers and Dolphins, they basically just swapped Ramsey and Fitzpatrick. Um, I feel like that's an equal trade because you're not losing anything with Minka. I just feel like, are you putting Ramsey at safety now? Because
That's what Tay was asking.
and I didn't even watch that part. But yeah, I feel like this only makes sense if you're putting Ramsey at safety because you already got Porter on one side and Beanie Bishop on the other. And I'm pretty sure Ramsey didn't get traded there to be a backup.
And they brought in Slay as well.
That too. I mean, now their DB room is crowded. But about Waller being traded, I did see a clip where Waller said after the Bills game that he decided to retire because they used him as a lead blocker in most of that game against the Bills, and I think he unretired because he's going to get a lot more opportunities. If Jonnu Smith was getting 88 catches over there in Miami, maybe he'll get back to being that tight end, that Pro Bowl tight end that we've seen before being traded to the Giants.
So it's kind of the concern I was bringing on right before you came on. Correct. I agree with you. It's a great offense for numbers, but it's also an offense that very much expects the tight end to be a blocker. So, think Kittle, right? Kittle is known for his prowess as a blocker just as much as he is an offensive weapon. It's very similar to the same system. So I don't know. It's a bit of a wild card. I will say, like I said right before, I love their draft. And not necessarily the Kenneth Grant thing is a little strange because it's an upside pick on a defense that needs like people to contribute now because your primary claim to fame is, two edge rushers who are both coming off of catastrophic injuries and an overachiever. I love me some Zach Seiler. I'm not trying to hate, but like, dude's been what he's been and has been overachieving. So you needed somebody who's a contributor. So I see a path of logic where it's three guys who were top 20 picks and a guy who's playing like a top 20 pick. If they all hit their ceiling at once, you've got yourself a fucking problem, right? Because that's very similar to what the 49ers were when they went to the Super Bowl when Mike McDaniels was with the 49ers. So you had three guys who were first-round picks all fucking balling out, right? At that pedigree of talent. That's a lot of if, though. As I talk about a lot, I used to talk about it at my old job, but you got the old the if machine gun out. You got a machine gun out, and it's just going if, all over the place, cutting people down with all those ifs flying out. It's a touchy situation, but the rest of the draft, fucking loved it. Jonas Avenea, I've not been bashful on this podcast. That was my favorite prospect in the whole draft, and I thought he was a phenomenal fit in this blocking scheme, and they got him in the second round. And then James Daniels, the guard from Pittsburgh, not the guy he once was, but also the top fit in the league for this offense. Him, like Tyler Linderbaum, guys like that are the perfect fits for this offense, and they got one of them. James Daniels is not the Pro Bowl, all-pro type player that he was, but I think he's going to have a bit of a resurrection season down here. So between him, Jonas Avenea, the draft pick, and then they got Ollie Gordon in the 5th round. At the beginning of last offseason, that guy was looked at as a top 50 prospect. To get him in the 5th round to add to that extremely talented running back group, lot of potential there between the additions to the offensive line, to the running back room. It's well known on this podcast, the whole entire Oklahoma State team all underperformed and kind of let Ollie Gordon down last year. So love the free agency moves, love the draft. Tay, what do you got on some of these moves?
The Dolphins, they drafted kind of odd. I don't mind going trenches, like with Kenneth Grant and getting Jonah from Arizona. I don't mind it. O-line has been a problem for them. Their quarterback is injury prone. Some people like to say he's one hit away. I mean,
it's because he is one hit away.
Yeah. So
actually, he is one hit away. Yeah.
They drafted Patrick Paul last year. Look, you can never go wrong with going in the trenches. They'll find a way to get on the field. Teams rotate you in and out, especially on the defensive line. So, and they also got Jordan Phillips in the third round, or fifth round. My bad. They didn't have a third or fourth round pick, but their third pick of their draft was Jordan Phillips. So I mean, they're just trying to beef up. Offensive line and defensive line. They went Chop Robinson last year, so it's clear they're going into a different direction. They like their skill players on the offense and stuff like that. I guess they like their quarterback. Now they're trying to build a foundation within the trenches. So, I understood it. I feel like the Dolphins usually draft pretty soft, and this draft wasn't soft. They got some they got some strength in here this time. So, yeah, I don't mind it. Quinn Ewers at the back end of the draft.
Oh my God, I do mind it.
I mean, I'm no fan. I honestly, Dylan Gabriel would have been amazing.
Yeah, perfect quarterback for this system. Perfect.
I mean, I guess they know more than me. I guess so.
We're gonna find out if they do. Who was your? We spent 22 minutes on the Dolphins. I'm getting used to things. Who is your top AFC East offseason team? There, Tay.
Oh, definitely the Patriots. Patriots look like they can do something. I mean, they were one of the worst teams to watch last year, but I don't know. This year, they're gonna be tough to beat. Their schedule's pretty easy too. I don't know if we're gonna get that deep into things, but yeah, their schedule's pretty easy. I love the draft for them. Will Campbell. Again, just the same thing is like what I was saying with the Dolphins. Like, it's going in the trenches will never be a bad pick in my eyes. If you see a lot of teams, that were bad, that are rebuilding, they do go O-line and it works out. Like, look at the Lions. That was their turnaround, their cornerstone, drafting Penei Sewell. So I don't mind it. And this team was terrible. You got Drake May and stuff like that. So you got to do that. You feel like you got your future, got to protect them. And running back situation was bad. Especially for fantasy football users. You don't know who to put in for the Patriots. It was just whoever. They get Travion Henderson. You know who to put in this year.
Exactly.
Right. They got Travion Henderson from Ohio State. Definitely a great prospect. He should get Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson off that field. Honestly, I don't see why not. They signed Stephon Diggs. I don't know how much value he has for this team or how long he had. I don't know. I don't even want to get into that.
Man, all I know is the Texans were very willing to move on from him after just 1 year.
Yeah, they were
very willing.
Yeah.
That's two teams in a row who were very willing to move on, and he already causing them heartburn.
Yeah. So again, the Patriots they went Kyle Williams. Some people, he's definitely an underrated prospect. He'll fit right in,
big time diamond.
Exactly. Yeah, he'll fit right in with the Patriots want to do, and then the Patriots go they get a center from Georgia. Again, nothing wrong with that. You got a franchise quarterback.
Well, the guy was a stud, good sleeper too. I wanted him for the Niners.
Exactly. Yeah, you feel like you got to change. Feel like you got your guy. You got to draft the O-line. You can't you can't forget about that. Like it's very important, for rebuilding teams specifically. So, the Patriots had a great offseason.
I mean, you're not even talking about they had other than Diggs, which jury out. They got 4 guys who are, if not going to be good starters, going to be at least make an impact in the 2 deep. Milton Williams from the Eagles, Carlton Davis, Harold Landry on defensive end, Morgan Moses, offensive tackle, Robert Spillane at linebacker. Those are all players I'd be happy to have on my roster, every single one of them. So that just adds more to what you're saying. They were hard at it this year. Again, we'll wait till we do the divisional previews, but might be competitive. We'll see what happens with Diggs and what happens with Drake May. I think maybe that's still a step away, that whole situation. They need somebody who May can really, that's his guy. I don't know if Diggs is that I don't think Diggs, I don't know. I don't think Diggs is that person anymore. But we'll see. Lee, who's your top AFC East offseason team?
Yeah, I agree with Tay. I think the Patriots too. They needed a high level offseason just to build around Drake May, and Diggs, he's not going to be that guy. I think in due time, Kyle Williams will be.
Yeah,
and they really beefed up defensively with Milton Williams, Spillane, Carlton Davis. So it's only up from here. They'll definitely get better. I don't see playoffs, but they'll definitely get better than last season.
So how did we all feel? Got my questions, man, about the Jets. I have a fun stat for you guys. This is a real stat. Justin Fields, when Justin Fields starts, he is 0-41 when teams score more than 21 points. The other team scores more than 21 points. Do you know what the NFL average score, offensive team score is? 22 points.
Oh, God.
Oh, I think it's strange how I feel like everyone is just like, oh yeah, Jets are doing it. Like everybody's shitting all over the Giants, right? And the Jets are not catching any of that. Bro, they have a defensive coordinator as the coach and Justin Fields as the quarterback. I don't see anything pretty going on with that situation at all. Otherwise, though, the Jets offseason, Armand Membu loved him as a prospect. Mason Taylor loved him as a prospect. So they got some good draft picks. Otherwise, I don't know, man. When you're top free agent and your most notable thing going on, your additions is Justin Fields. I don't know, man. What do you think of the Jets offseason there, Tay?
It was terrible. They didn't do anything. They're even worse than last year. Like I hated the Justin Fields signing. That's how I knew. They could have got Ray Lewis to come back. Like it still would have been bad. I really was not a fan of Justin Fields. I mean, I don't know. And their offensive coordinator is terrible. Just like you were saying. I mean, the O-line, they're I feel like they're good in that department. They're gonna have a really good O-line, and they're gonna have a really good defense, and they're gonna have a really bad quarterback. I just don't. I don't know. I hate. Yeah, I'm done with the Jets. Don't put me with the Jets anymore. I don't like what they did. They could. I'd rather Tyrod Taylor play. At least you feel like you'll win some games. I don't know. I'm no Justin Fields fan, like at all. You know, I mean, it'd be cool to see him, turn his career around. But as you can see, I'm no fan. I'm no fan. And their draft was okay. I mean, I like their first pick. I guess it's the same thing with this division. Everyone got linemen and stuff. So again, same thing. They went this 2 years in a row. They went tackle. Like it's clear they know what they're bad at. Well, they don't know all the way what they're bad at because they bring in
Justin Fields.
Exactly. But they know where else they're bad at. They care about that O-line. They want an O-line.
It's funny because after all these years, O-line is probably the most complete group they got on the team. If Membu fucking pans out after all of the resources they've thrown at it over the years, I mean, hey, maybe they end up, they got a defensive coordinator for a coach. Maybe they end up being, the Ravens if Lamar couldn't throw type thing. Like maybe they're running the shit out of some speed options, some pistol read, and leaning on that good offensive line. Brees Hall, top 5 running backs.
But he gets hurt. He hurt his. I feel like his shoulders hurt every week.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I hate it.
Not great. Lee, any thoughts on the Jets offseason?
Yeah, I mean, they did the best they could. They did. I mean, I don't know.
Sound like a Make-A-Wish kid.
I mean, because think about last year. They went all in. They thought Aaron Rodgers coming back, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson. They traded for Devontae midseason. We're going to go all in, and it all fell apart. So, I mean, it's kind of rebuilding. Expectations for the Jets, it can't be higher than 3-4 wins.
Well, we'll get there. We'll do divisional previews at some point. This is just the offseason.
Okay.
The Bills, man. I guess we're just going to do this again. I just rinse and repeat another year, fellas, because there's no receiver walking through that door. Their biggest claim to fame is who they were able to retain, who they were able to keep in the building. Matt Milano, Greg Rousseau, Khalil Shakir, but nothing to really write home about as far as the draft goes. Didn't bring in a notable receiver or even notable role-playing guys for Allen to throw to again for another year. Joey Bosa, is that really cooking anybody's pasta at this point? Like the guy can't stay on the field. Who cares? Hasn't been that impact. Has degraded greatly in how impactful he is on the field. Nothing too impressive going on here with the Bills. What do you think there, Tay?
The Bills did okay. I think they're in a money saving mode right now. I think that's one of the reasons why they traded Diggs. They're trying to cut back on some money now. Josh Allen's contract is active. Trying to find ways to save some money. I mean,
that's why they said a receiver. Fuck a receiver. We're paying you to be a receiver. We're paying you to make those guys good receivers. So
I'll say this about receiver. There was no one available.
Yeah.
As far as free agents. Because it was just Diggs and why would they get them back? So I mean
George Pickens was available, apparently. Who? George Pickens was available, apparently.
Yeah. Okay. That I'm gonna get to that. It was no one really available, in free agency. And you got to remember, they drafted Keon Coleman last year. I think they have a lot of stock in that. So to not stunt growth or anything, they just left it alone. And because he showed some flashes, I mean, he can be that jump ball receiver, just like you said, George Pickens. I do see at least a play style like that. Maybe not to that volume, but I do see that play style in him. So I guess. They got their route runner, they got their jump ball guy. They're just going for role players, like how the Chiefs do it. So, I mean, I think that's why they didn't really touch. I mean, they got Josh Palmer. He's cool, you notice him, when you watch like Red Zone and stuff, you'll see some Josh Palmer touchdowns throughout the year.
See, he's cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
What do you think the Bills offseason there, Lee Harvey?
Yeah, they honestly they did what they kind of did last year or a couple years ago.
Yep.
Them signing Joey Bosa reminds me of when they signed Von Miller. Yeah, see, because Von was at the tail end of his career. Now Joey's at the tail end of his career. And also, I'm just wondering, when are they going to sign James Cook long term?
I don't know. Maybe never. So
they try to save money.
they got the kind of that's what you have to do. You have to kind of rebuild your roster money wise once the quarterback deal kicks in.
Yes.
Unless you got a franchise quarterback like the one we're going to talk about on the next episode. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Enjoy our NFC West offseason review. That's also being posted today. That'll be up soon. True and the boys, of course, are always posting all kinds of great stuff on the DAR Medium site. Be looking for that if you need some reading materials, too, as you sit out on your back porch in the lounge chair this great, beautiful, patriotic weekend. All that and so much more. And that is because right now, the world of DAR never stops.